everyone. Today I'm going to be reviewing Mam Sindiwe Magona's Living, Loving and Lying Awake at Night. This was published in 1991 and it's a collection of monologues and short stories detailing the lives of black working class women who are in the domestic working field, and I was really impressed on how well it has aged since then and how much the topics which are discussed in this book are still relevant to the domestic working field today. And I'm always very impressed by Mamsindi Magona's ability to humanize people, whether those people take like decisions that affect others in a drastic way or not. Because we start off with the book with Ati, who leaves her children to go find work because they are in a dire situation. Her children are starving, and just like being in her headspace and realizing that she's taking this choice so that her children don't die in starvation. And then she gets to she finds work, but like the way that she finds work is it affects another woman who was working as a domestic worker, and just like exploring that how employment is so low. This was obviously during the apartheid years, and it's like it addresses all of that, and just like looking at that and how our choices do affect other people in our lives and so on and so forth. I really enjoyed the monologue aspect of this book, and when it transitioned to the short stories, it was a bit jarring for me at first. But then, as I went into more short stories, I suddenly like became more comfortable, and I just loved it and I devoured it so fast. And yeah, I found myself reading a lot of stories about domestic work this month, I guess, or and it's just like always so interesting how writers are able to navigate and address those class differences, because obviously the women here, black women, are working for mostly upper middle class or like really rich white women, and just seeing those dynamics work in hand, and how upper middle class white women are able to have all of these opportunities for their children, and this power that they have and how they treat that power, whether it's like through wage exploitation or whether they actually advocate for their domestic workers and they pay them decently or they help them out. But like even through that helping out, you can still see the power dynamics at hand. And yeah, it was just like very intriguing to observe and learn more about. One of my favorite short stories from this book is about, it's titled Two Girls and a City, and basically it's looking at an event that happened to these traumatic event that happened to these two girls, and it's like based in Cape Town. And just to contextualize, Cape Town is has really severe spatial apartheid back then as well as now, but all South African cities do have like severe spatial apartheid in general. And so we look at how a white girl, for example, this white little kid, is growing up in the suburbs and how she's navigating her daily life and what she does to play. And then on the other hand, we have a little black girl who's with her mom, who they've just come to visit their dad, who lives in one of the hostels. And we also like see how she navigates everyday life when she's playing with her friends, etc., etc. And then something does happen dramatically to both of these girls, and we see the police's reaction to helping the white girls parents and everyone like that. And in contrast to that, we see how the black community tries to handle this, because obviously during apartheid, and police aren't deemed as trustworthy people. And so just like the shifting dynamics between those two things was just very compelling, and it just unravels me, to be honest. And then one of my other favorite stories is the last one, which is called Now That the Past Has Gone, which is just basically about the past laws, because it was abolished in 19 I think the late 80s. and everyone is celebrating in the black community because past laws were just a way to like obviously police black people, and it was a restriction to movement as well, to freedom of movement, and it was just like an very undignified way to live for black people, just having this constant monitoring and oversight of how black people are moving in their own country. So everyone is celebrating, but one of the protagonist's moms is just like, yeah, but like we are not necessarily dealing with how this has affected so many people. And for me, the story was so important because as much as I learned about past laws at school with through my family, it wasn't like contextualized enough. It was always just like, okay, we'd be like carrying dompas, or during this event, during the Sharpeville massacre, Robert Sobukwe mobilized a lot of black Africans to, I mean, Africans to burn their past books. But like, it wasn't just how undignified that was, and how it was like a restriction of freedom of movement, and how black people were confined to little like sections in the countries, and how it affected people like on a human level. And the way that Sindiwe Magona is able to just contextualize history is always so important for me, because she did that in Mother to Mother as well, and just seeing that this is something that's happening is so important to me. And I just love how she, as much as she's like a writer and she writes fiction, these stories are obviously about what she's witnessed and about South Africans during apartheid, or later on during the transition to democracy. And I appreciate the archival work that she does, and I really can't wait until I read another of her book. I strongly recommend this. If, yeah, I don't even think that, I don't want to be like, if you live in this place or if you want to learn more about this, as just like a whole book. This is so important. Strongly recommend, and I'll see you when I see you. Bye.